we found another good cop story. And this one's going to make you kind of pissed off. It's going to make your blood boil. Cop commits heinous crime during arrest. Yeah, a cop commits a heinous act during a DWI arrest. Here we go.
There's a police officer who has been accused and arrested of raping a woman after he arrested the woman for DWI. I kid you not.
DWI means driving while intoxicated.
This is out of New Mexico. Is now behind bars, okay? Accused of raping a drunk driving suspect while taking her to jail. The alleged victim says she felt that she had no choice, fearing that he would add charges to her or something worse. His name, let's put up his picture. Let's put up his mug shot.
Check out this fucking disgusting... Look at the disgusting Basuda.
He was arrested Tuesday by his fellow police officers. The guy basically admitted to what happened, okay? So let me give you some background to this. The woman reported the assault last week at the hospital, saying she was arrested for DWI in the Isleta Pueblo by Martin. And on the way to jail, she says Martin pulled his patrol car over into a dark area and asked her to come to the driver's side. She says he took off his vest and gun belt and then raped her. This story gets really deep, deeper than this, all right? Now, you already have a guy who feels comfortable pulling over his squad car and raping a woman while taking her to jail. He still takes her to jail, okay? He rapes her and takes her to jail. That's according to the allegation. The victim says she was scared and afraid, all right? And that he would shoot her or add extra charges to her DWI case if she did not comply. She says Martin told her in exchange he would talk to the judge to help reduce her charges, and if they spent a longer amount of time together, she would spend a shorter amount of time in jail and would get to see the judge quicker. A couple of days later, the victim told investigators she tested positive for chlamydia following the assault.
We'll stop that for a second. That's ridiculous. You know, and I remember that I used to hear stories, you know, like from my aunt's boyfriend. Back in the early 80s and 90s, they used to use some corrupt officers that worked for the Pierce County Sheriff's Department. Back in the 80s and 90s, they would pull over, especially back then, used to be a lot of bars and, you know, taverns open like that. They would target women and pull them over, and accuse them of being drunk, you know, trying to plant evidence. And a lot of these women, you know, they would force them to have sex with them, you know, give them a blow job, have intercourse like that. Basically, these police officers were forcing themselves in raping these women, and these women would fear of, you know, facing charges, have to go to court of law, and losing their job. So they would just, you know, they would just comply, like, you know, get it over with, just like what the scumbag did with this woman, like that. And I've heard stories like that. They would do the same thing with these women like that. They would say, oh, if we go out to do a date or dinner like that, I'll make sure to testify, get the charge of reduced or even dropped. That's how corrupt cops are. And here's another case right here.
In an interview, okay, with the NMSP, the cop admitted to having sex with the woman while she was under arrest, but told them she initiated the encounter.
Yeah, bullshit.
And he simply had a lapse of judgment. The alleged victim told police she recognized Martin from a previous domestic violence incident, and he had messaged her on Facebook afterward. She says she felt like he was trying to hit on her. So what do we have here?
Good God.
We have a cop that had a prior interaction with this individual he has arrested. That prior interaction caused him to inbox her on social media. She felt as if this was his attempt to try to get at her, okay? To try and hit on her. This guy is a walking corruption.
Yeah. He's a walking, you know, he's a walking corruption. He's a walking rapist that he thinks he's getting by with a badge and a gun. I did a story a couple months ago as well that a cop was stalking a woman for over a year, leaving messages on her Facebook, like Instagram, whatnot. This is what these cops are trying to do. They think, you know, because they have a gun and badge, they can empower women. It's ridiculous.
That's what he is. All right? So there's more. The executive director of the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women said in a statement, "We know that police officers who do this, they do target those most vulnerable."
Yep, they do.
Gender nonconforming people, in this instance, someone who was under the influence, folks who engage in sex work, these are populations of people who are targeted because they're seen as less credible.
And I'll bring up another point like that, you know. And maybe I'll give glitter stalkers a little benefit of the doubt as well, to a certain point, and agree. I think, you know, sometimes police officers do tend to, you know, empower and, you know, target women, especially, you know, that work in, like, you know, are poor or minorities. Yes, sometimes, you know, cops would do that, like if it's an Asian, African American, a Mexican, Latina, minority, you know, that woman, you know, that don't know about the culture or the language, or, you know, the English language like that, or haven't been in our country that long. Yes, the cops will do that.
Let's put the cop's picture up again. He faces multiple felonies now, including criminal assault, criminal sexual penetration, false imprisonment, demanding or receiving a bribe by a public officer, as well as an ethics violation. We're going to follow this story.
That's 5 felonies.
The court date has not been set yet. But we're going to follow this story because we don't want it to be brushed under the rug, as we have seen with other police officers who have been involved in insane and extreme criminal corruption like this. Ms. Dahl, you're an attorney at law.
Especially, you know, if the guy, you know, it's, you know, saying that, you know, corrupt officer like that. Especially, you know, if they were going with a lie detector test and they say, no, these dirtbags will come out as extreme deceptive.
Would you defend this guy?
Nope.
No, I mean, that's why I'm not a criminal defense lawyer, although he's constitutionally entitled to it. But, you know, I want to say about the woman, you know, good for her for coming forward. That took a huge amount of courage to come forward, especially when her, you know, the person was a law enforcement. She had no idea what was going to happen. She had no idea that he was actually going to admit it. So that took a tremendous amount of courage. And this man should really get the book thrown at him, because he seems like he might have even stalked her. You know, the fact that he was following her on Facebook and he caught her driving drunk. Was he just following her all the time? Very scary. We see things like this happen, and if he is released, you know, he could do something worse. I mean, oftentimes these types of
try to kidnap, rape,
crimes against
murder
women, it happens repeatedly. So I really hope they take this really seriously. And the fact that it came out during this story that behind police brutality is sex abuse as the number 2 police misconduct. Honestly, I didn't even know that before you reported this story. And we are so desensitized to violence against women in this country. Should never tolerate that amount of abuse against women when they have a gun, have a position of power, and like you said, they do it against these vulnerable women, maybe sex workers that do not feel like they have the ability to speak out. So I hope this case kind of cracks open this door, and we really clean this up.
Yeah, he's trash. They need to take out the garbage.
Yeah.
Here's what the fitness...
You know, as well. You know, and here's the bottom line is, as well, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what the profession of a job and employment that a woman does. It doesn't. That has no bearing at all. Before we get out of here, you know, I mean, it just so amazed me. You know, you get these cops out there get away with all this kind of bullshit out there, you know, stalking, harassing women like that, and they get away with it. You know, with sexual crimes like that. Here's one more thought. Remember years ago when Eric Brandt got 90 days for chalking? Yeah, chalking on the sidewalk, just chalking on there. You know, happy fuck the cops day. You know, he chalked that. There was a cop in Denver who raped a woman, violently raped her, you know, against her will. And what does this cop get? Yeah, 90 days. Think about it. I hope this cop gets, you know, I hope he gets the book thrown on him. This woman gets justice. With that said, I'm out here. Mike Joe, peace out.